So my question for you ladies is, after the cameras and the lights are gone, how did you find continuing this journey? And did you fall back onto old habits, or did you keep up with it?
So I'll take it first.
Yeah.
You know, I think my weight will always be a struggle for me. So whether the cameras were on or off, it's something that I will always struggle with. I'm very mindful every day of what I'm eating, what I'm going to eat, where I'm going, what I'm going to eat, what I'm going to eat on the weekend. It's something that will always stay with me. So after the show finished, sure, I had indulges. You know, I had things I hadn't had in the 5 months. But what I have learned is to use the tools that I was provided, right? To know that I need to eat those healthy proteins at every meal to make me feel full, so I'm not grabbing those snacks. So those were some of the tools that I continue to use and will continue to use my entire life. It's just something that's never going to change for me.
Totally agree. I think like it's the experience over 3 months is kind of building that toolkit. I actually went on to lose a little bit more weight over the following year and kept that off, and then realized that I was going after a number or a clothing size, which didn't fit with kind of my approach to life. I'm very social. I enjoy wine. But it's, you know, realizing that the number on the scale is not what controls you. It's about how you feel. And at the end of this journey, I think you realize, even probably a month in, you realize like, okay, I feel a hell of a lot better, excuse my language, when I'm feeding and nourishing my body with healthy and clean foods versus not so clean foods. And so it's been 4 years, and I maintain within a window. I don't step on the scale every week anymore. I kind of judge it by how my body's feeling. So, you know, after the holidays, it's like, okay, back into gear. And the toolkit of like weighing and measuring and tracking. Like, you know, if I've eaten 3 spoons of my kids' mac and cheese, I track it, because then I won't be at the end of the week being like, oh, why is the number not changing? Or why do my pants still feel tight, right? But it's, what's been great about this experience is understanding that, you know, I'm in control of the way I feel, and it's been great.
I still measure everything.
Yeah.
All the time. And I catch myself, right? There are some mornings where I'll make my yogurt cup and I'm like, oh wait, I've put way too much in there. But there are things that you will just continue doing. It just becomes a way of life, right?
And just to add to that, I wanted to say that it's also a mindset shift, right? So even when I'm not eating perfectly, what I think about is I have learned to care for myself differently through this process, right? So it's a total package of, you overate, what was that all about? What's happening? Why are you not caring for yourself? You know, kind of what are the priorities that have shifted? And so because you spent this time creating these new habits, it kind of becomes a natural way, and you feel different. Like, so if you eat terribly, not that you didn't enjoy it when you eat it, but I found that my body is like, whoa, what did you just put in? Like, so it's a bit resistant to it. So you naturally just start to pick the options that are best and optimal for who you are and what you're doing and where you want to continue to be.
100%, I agree with everything the ladies said. For myself, it was, you know, I went on, as well as Jen, to lose a lot more weight after the camera stopped rolling. Felt great, it was great. In 2018, I got pregnant. And I had a rough pregnancy. I was on bed rest by the time I was 3 months pregnant. So stress came in, started eating all the wrong things. I gained back essentially all the weight that I lost in 2017. And then, you know, I had my son, and I was like, okay, great, I can jump back in again. And I just wasn't ready. And Dr. Joey, I went to see her a month after, and she's like, you're not ready. And I said, okay. And then something just popped, and it was like, okay, you're ready. And since then, I've been back on the journey of losing weight. The key tool is you have the tools to lose the weight. There'll be ups and downs. You'll have your days, you'll have your moments, but you have the tools, and you guys can do it. We can all do it.
This is a pretty intense journey, so I'm just wondering what the most meaningful thing from the entire process before during and after you took away from this?
I would say for myself, what I discovered was that I'm worth it. I'm absolutely worth it, 100%. You know, oftentimes I've got young kids at home, I'm busy, I'm taking my kids to their activities, to hockey, to whatever, and I lost sight of myself for a very, very long time. And what this journey taught me was that I'm absolutely worth it. I need time for myself. I need to focus on me, and when I do, I am a much better wife, mother, colleague, all-around person. So this journey not only taught me, you know, obviously the tools that I needed to lose weight, but that I was worth it.
I think for me, being kind to yourself, right? Like, you are going to slip up within the time on camera as well as beyond. And, you know, you have second helpings of a piece of cake at a birthday party. It doesn't mean that you've blown your week and you've blown your month and you know what, I might as well just start in September when it's New Year, right? No, be kind to yourself because it's life and life happens, and you know, you've got so many different hats that you play, right? Wife, mother, colleague, parent. And remember that, you know, mistakes happen, and be kind with yourself, right?
Not much different from what has already been said. But I think the biggest thing that I learned was that the priority was me first. And it's hard to do that when we're women, when we're mothers, wives, whatever we do. Even the work that I do, it's serving other people. So it was always about the needs of everybody else. And then whatever was left over, I would give to myself, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I would feel selfish if I did it the other way, right? And so I really learned that it was necessary for me to be a priority in order to be able to be who I needed to be for everybody else. And I think that is huge because, yeah, you have to put yourself first, and it's not selfish, it's actually selfless when we do it that way.
I think for myself, what I've learned is that I am stronger than I ever thought I was. Starting this journey, it was like, first pound, oh, I can. So I'm learning deep in myself that I am stronger and I can do it. Once again, you guys can do it. Each of us can do it. And that is the greatest feeling within myself, once again, as these ladies have been saying, is putting yourself first and recognizing that, being self-aware and recognizing that you do deserve it and you can do it.
So my question to the group is, how do you manage all of the layers that you have to kind of focus on in regards to your schedule, your working, your preparing food, your exercising, how are you managing your schedule?
I would say for me, the big thing for me is that I schedule everything. Everything is in my calendar, and that's what holds me accountable. I schedule the gym. I schedule it as an appointment in my calendar, or else it's just not going to happen, right? And that has been the key for me, is making sure that everything's in my calendar and I schedule it so that I know what's happening. My day's planned out. I know exactly what's going on. And then with regards to meal prep, I still do it every Sunday. Every Sunday, I make a couple meals that's going to last me through my lunches and some of my dinners if I'm out of the house. And that has really been a real key to my success.
Yeah, preparing is key. Sundays is a meal prep day at my house as well. I get my two kids, we go up to the counter and we chop vegetables, and even do things like throw a bunch of chicken together so that I can have it for during the week. On days like today, for example, I know I'm running from one thing to the next. It's okay, well, I've got chopped up vegetables, I've got hard-boiled eggs in the fridge, that's what's coming with me for lunch. So I find if I make the time to prepare things, it doesn't matter if the week's gone sideways, there's something there healthy that I can grab and go with. But it's some weeks it's a blur, right? And I haven't worked out. And then it's that, taking time for yourself at the end of the week and reflecting on, okay, well, how do I feel? I feel like crap. So, well, what was different this week? And so recognizing that, there are going to be competing priorities every single week, but trying to carve out, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes, getting up earlier to do a stretch or to do a workout really makes a difference on how I feel at the end of the day and end of the week. So remembering that has been key.
I'm going to kibosh all of that because I'm not that person. Okay? So I totally did not prep on Sunday. No, I didn't do any of that.
At least you're keeping it on.
No, I'm just not that person. I'm totally like flexible, go with the flow of things.
So
but what I did was I made sure that in the house was what I needed. So I cook my dinner. I like to cook every night, but I just made sure that the food that I needed to stay on plan was the food that was in my fridge, was the food that was in my cupboard. So even though I wasn't spending Sundays meal prepping, my time is arranged in such a way that I can do these things on a daily basis, and that worked well for me. I agree with the getting up 50 minutes. So I decided not to join the gym. I'm not a gym person. My sister was on mat leave and at one point gave me her gym access to her gym membership. So when we were preparing for the 5K, I would go to the gym just to do the treadmill and walk on the stairs. Everything else I did at home, in my bedroom or downstairs in my living room. I watched YouTube videos and literally I was like, I'm not doing an hour workout, I'll do 20 minutes. But I was doing that consistently. So I just found those pockets of time because longer stretches of time for me sometimes were not, I just wasn't able to. So I made sure that I found the 15 minutes, waking up earlier. Right? Most of my workouts were in the evening versus the morning. Sometimes that's kind of like not good because if you do it too late, then you're kind of up going, why can't I go to sleep? Because you're just kind of, but it's working it into your schedule. What I tried not to do was disrupt my life too much because I was already disrupting what I'm eating and working out, like introducing all these new things. So I tried to do that within what my life was to a degree, but incrementally building in these other habits into what my life looked like.
So I too was a Sunday prep person. So I was always prepping on Sunday, still do. It's just easier for my life. With the gym, I was always going in the morning and then my son came. So it was, okay, when can I go? Like I'm busy, newborn, had a 5-year-old, now 18-year-old. So it was just like, okay, where can I fit in my fitness portion? And I found that, okay, walking my daughter to school instead of driving. So just little habits that you kind of tweak to continue kind of on the journey of your fitness journey, if anything. Okay, well, I'll walk instead of drive. And she hates it, but I'm like, no, we're getting in our steps. And she's like, okay, mommy. So it worked out that, I can walk her to school and still feel good and healthy. So, yeah.
And just to jump on that point, there was a couple of, because we were doing the videos as well.
Right.
So I remember having to walk through, when you go past Union Station and you're going to the Metro Convention or whatever, and I literally was like blogging, I'm not taking the escalator, I'm like walking the stairs. So just like stuff like that too made a huge difference of, could I take the train? Sometimes when we were coming to Cityline in the morning, instead of taking the train up from Union, I would walk, right? So it's those little things, building in those little habits.
What happens when the number on the scale goes up, whether it be PMS, stress, a cheat day? How do you deal with that and not kind of fall back to your old habits?
So the scale has gone up. I have experienced it. And, what I can say is that I remind myself of the tools that I have, right? I go back to saying, okay, why has the scale gone up? I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful about why I'm gaining weight. Is it PMS? What's next am I reaching for so that I can correct that behavior? And that's kind of what I stop myself and try and really think about, why am I eating certain things or why am I falling back? And just try and pull myself back. I allow myself a range, and if I get beyond that, then I double down and go back down. But it's, like I said, it's a struggle. It's a struggle all the time, and it always will be for me.
I think I said earlier about being kind to yourself, right? I did the challenge 4 years ago, so the advantage I have is perspective. And in the moment and like in the near term, it felt like a crisis when the scale went up. And now I know, you know what? My period's coming. The scale literally jumps 5 pounds and it lasts a week and then it goes back to normal, right? So having that experience and that perspective helps you realize, well, wait a second, this isn't a crisis. I'm just bloated and it's my body doing stupid things, right? So being kind to yourself and reminding it's not because of, one mistake does not make or break what has happened, right? Like, you've gone to a party, you've had like too many glasses of wine or, pasta for dinner. It's going to happen, but it doesn't break what the progress that you've made and the journey that you're on. And so, bringing, I think, pause to yourself and reflecting on the fact that, you know what, like, you're in control of this and you're the one that's making the decisions, and the number on your scale is not what's in charge of that, I think is important. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. For sure.
And I'm sure by now you guys realize that this is not just a physical journey, so much more. So it's like emotional, it's mental. For me, it was also spiritual. Like there was all these components that were kind of like colliding, and I was like, oh my God, my life is a mess. But it really isn't. As Carlin said, the chaos was, clarity was coming out of that. So I think with that, it's really, as these ladies have already said, but reflecting on why am I eating that, right? Is there something emotional attached to this? Because if it was just, I just wanted the food or I was in a social environment, who cares? Like the next meal is great, tomorrow is great. If there's something else that's triggering it, then you need to do the work there. And so you have to be mindful that this whole process is so much more than physical, and be willing to do the work. Like I wept sometimes or got angry sometimes, and because you're dealing with so much stuff that's coming up, all of the old garbage, right? But taking it and putting it where it belongs. It doesn't belong in here anymore because we're going through a transformation. So let it come out, put it where it belongs, in the garbage, in the past, in the healing bin, wherever it belongs, and then continue tomorrow going, okay, dealt with. I might have to deal with it again, but committed to dealing with.
Yeah, same, well said. It's, the scale has gone up. And I look at it as, okay, it's having, forgiveness for yourself, kindness, forgiveness that, okay, it went up. But I have the tools, I know how to get it down. You're gonna have a bad day, and that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. Push forward, move forward, and you'll be okay.
All right, my question is, life happens, and reality is, especially I have 4 kids, so eating out is sometimes not or sometimes you just have to do it. How did you handle that? Like, how did you decide what choices to make, where to eat, how to stay present in the moment, and not deprive yourself, but how do you stick to the choices and make sure it's positive?
I think for me it was, as I sort of progressed along the journey, my sort of what I wanted to eat gravitated to more of the healthier options. So oftentimes when I'd go out to restaurants, I'd get, the fries or whatever, and I found this time I was exploring new options on menus. So trying new things like the salads, or looking for things like grilled chickens that were far more healthier. And I actually enjoyed them a lot more than I did like the fries or the deep fried chicken or whatever. But I found in those tricky moments where, fast food, like I have kids in hockey, and if you've got kids in hockey, you're transporting them everywhere, right? And I think you do. And you have to eat on the go. So again, going back to planning, if I knew that I was going to be on the road, I would pre-plan and bring my own food. That to me was key, and I still do that sometimes, right? Like I will pack some extra granola bars or pack some healthy snacks so that I'm not grabbing for the chips or the fries or whatever you find at hockey arenas these days, like the popcorn, right? So those are just some of the things that I did and continue to do.
Similarly, kind of planning ahead. So I remember finding it very difficult early on. I have a very busy social life, it seems, and so it feels like from either a work perspective or with friends, I go out a lot. And so I found 2 things were really helpful. One was being honest and transparent with the people I was going out with, and not trying to hide the fact that, I'm I'm trying to make conscious decisions about what I'm eating. The other thing that I would do is take a look at the menus in advance, and not look at the sandwiches or the pastas.
So
like
true.
look at the salad options and things like that. And so often I would, make my decision before even getting to the restaurant. The third thing that I would do, depending on kind of timing of when I was going to be going out, because sometimes the dinner would be later in the evening and I wasn't supposed to be eating after, 7 o'clock in the evening kind of thing, or 8 o'clock, whatever it was. And so instead of having my snack in mid-afternoon, I'd shift my snack later and make it a little bit bigger, and then have a very light meal out. I also, and this kind of ties back to what you were talking about earlier, tying kind of the reasons why you're making decisions about things to how you're feeling. So if we were going out and it's, a friend's birthday party or something like that, I would have my 1 or 2 glasses of wine on that evening and not worry about it, right? We're out celebrating. On the flip side of things, if I was out and I'd had I don't know, you have those days that just kind of weigh you down and it's like, oh, I could really use like a glass of wine or a cupcake or french fries or something like that. If that was the reason why I was feeling like I wanted to make those decisions, I was like, well, hang on a second, that's not going to make me feel better. And so being conscious or mindful about the motivation for those choices, I found important. So it speaks to kind of being present or aware of how you were feeling.
Thank you.
I think putting things on the side. So if you're ordering a salad at the restaurant, instead of getting them to top, they put it on the side so you can control the portion of what you're putting on. I remember going to a restaurant, ordering something that I thought was healthy, and then going that week to see Dr. Joey, and I was up 2 or 3 pounds, and I was like, but how? And she's like, well, let's look at your meal plan and see what you did. And she said the sauce, a lot of these restaurants, in their sauces, is all these hidden ingredients. So although it seems really healthy, she said your body's probably holding on to that sauce, right? So even in those incidences, it's checking before, but then saying, can you put that on the side, or can you not include this, or you know what I mean? And then I get to control how much I use of it or not.
Yeah, same thing. Previewing the menu was huge for me. My husband takes me out a lot. So going out, it's like, okay, what can I eat? What should I eat? Even, yesterday, I went out to a work function and I looked at the menu beforehand and I'm like, okay, I'm good. So when I got there, I knew what I was getting, and I wasn't going to be tempted by everything else on the menu. So, just be aware of what's there. Sodium is a huge thing as well, right? So it's just being mindful of that and making those choices, knowing that, it's healthier for you.